Hello, everyone. Welcome to the big milestone episode. This is episode number 10. We made it to 10. So, big congrats to us. On today's episode, which is jam packed, we have an NBA Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals previews. Which teams do we believe are going to make it to the NBA Finals coming up soon? Also, we're going to continue our NBA regular season grading. We will, dive deeper into two of the most recent losers to get kicked out of the playoffs. And of course, we're going to finish off with our rapid fire. So stay tuned, y'all. We're back. We're going to get into some NBA playoffs. We got the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. It's feel like it's been months of just, watching these playoff series, go by, and then we're finally down to the Final Four. So Lawrence, you pick which conference you want to start in, and then we'll just take it from there.
We're starting in the East with your good old boys, the Heat. I like the matchup the Heat have. I kind of wish they would have Tyler Hero to play in the series, but that's not going to be a possibility. But they handled their own against the Knicks pretty well, and the Knicks weren't scrubs or anything, but they did their job and they handled it. Didn't go to a 7-game series. They made sure of that. I don't know your team as well as you do, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. But I will dabble on the fact that I think the Heat will probably win the series in 7. I'll throw that out at you. I feel like a lot of people have been talking, and I kind of been agreeing on. It's like I'm not sold on the Celtics.
Okay.
I feel like the 76ers should have won it in 6, and they choked it away, and then they just didn't show up in 7. There's just a lot of factors that are going into it. Like, there's no team hotter other than maybe the I don't know. I want to say the Nuggets, but there really is no other team hotter than the Heat. Because they're not supposed to be where they are right now. They're really not. Everyone didn't even think they were going to win a game or a series or a game in the first series against the Bucks. They got lucky in the department of getting Giannis hurt and a couple other guys hurt in a couple games, so they got to steal some wins. But they also lost without a lot of the Bucks starters in. So it does have a two-way street. But the Heat just seemed like they lit up at the right time. And they were in the playoffs like pretty much every year. And they're 3 years removed from a postseason run? I'm pretty sure it's 2. No, bubble was 3 years ago.
The bubble, it's going on 3. It's crazy.
Dang. So yeah, they're 3 years away from what they were, and it's kind of crazy to think that the Nuggets and the Lakers were part of that, bubble as well, and now it's just a repeat.
Bubble repeat. I'm here for it.
I think maybe the Heat. Jimmy Butler's just trying to prove that he can do it all. He is the man. And I think he can get past the Celtics just because they play such good defense. And the problem with the Celtics so far this this playoffs has been the fact that they can't not turn the ball over. And something that's super important when it comes to playoff time is making sure you take care of the ball so you can make sure you get as much points as possible. And it just seems like something they're not really doing well at.
No.
It's something that they're not even going to be able to exploit, like a rebounding aspect, like being able to out-rebound. Bam Adebayo is going to hold his own in the paint, so they're not going to be able to just strictly out-rebound them. So there's a lot of things that I'm looking at when I take this Heat in 7 pick. I also want to say I would go Heat in 6, but it just seems like Boston's just not going to go out in less than 6.
Not without a fight.
So I think Heat are going to win in 7 just because their star Jimmy is going to do better than the Celtic stars. That's just my opinion. It kind of goes back to Trailblazers with McCollum and Lillard. I mean, they're just the same player. And Jason Tatum is the player who's good, but kind of doesn't have the same confidence as Brown. And Brown has more confidence, but isn't the same player as Tatum. So
Yeah, well said.
they don't complement each other perfectly because, well, they're the same basic piece. Brown's just a little shorter, so he plays shooting guard. Tatum's a little taller, so he plays small forward, power forward sometimes. So it's just the same player. It was like the McCollum and Lillard situation, and one plays point guard, one plays shooting guard. The one problem aspect with the Celtics is you ask players like Al Horford to do a whole lot, and he's kind of old, like really old.
Oh, Big Al's up there.
So, so you got to look at these things, and nothing that the Celtics really do really just shouts superb. They're just good. They're really good. But it just seems like the Heat are just shouting clutch.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on a lot of those points you just made. I'm gonna pick off where you started about JT and JB are kind of the same player, and you're totally right. Like, I mean, when was the last time that we can say that two wing players, like either a guard, a shooting guard, small forward, or a small forward power forward combo has like when was the last time that like a duo like that has worked out? I mean, you probably have to go back to what Scotty and Pippen, or Pippen and Jordan. My
Yeah.
bad, but or I mean, you could even say like Wade and LeBron. But even then, like those duos, they like both players had defined roles, right? Like when it came to Michael and Scotty, Scotty was your defensive stopper. He also assisted and rebounded really well. And then Michael Jordan, hey, he's going to put up points. He's going to play defense as well, but the offense is going through him. When it comes to the Celtics, it's pretty much flip flops from game to game. I mean, in my eyes, I feel like you have two alphas. You have two guys who continuously want to prove to everyone that, hey, I'm the guy. So that's and you notice that because I mean, look at the rumors that were coming out this season. Hey, if Jaylen Brown doesn't get a All NBA nod, he's gone from the Celtics. Wait, why are you leaving a good like? You have a good thing going in Boston. Why are you leaving? I mean, and the obvious answer is, hey, he thinks he's that guy. If he doesn't get paid like that guy, he's going to go. So with two alphas on the team, I think it's worked enough to get them to the finals, but they couldn't get over the hump. Um, and we've seen it in this playoffs where they both haven't really fed off each other as well as last postseason. I mean, Jason Tatum had a poo game. Like game 6 was just ridiculously bad, and somehow they scraped by, which is good because hey, you have a guy like JB who can get you points. He pulled it out the win for them. That's good. But I feel like in this series against Miami, you can't have a stinker like you did against the Sixers because Miami will capitalize. Um, so along with like you said, Lawrence, I feel like Miami has caught fire at the right time. Coach Bo said the other day, he's like, yeah, if we didn't have some of the injuries and just some of like the internal whatever that was going on, like we always thought we were a 4 or 5 seed. So this circumstance that they find themselves in isn't shocking to them. They believe in themselves. They believe in Coach Bo. They believe in the old man Pat Riley, the Godfather. So there's a lot of belief that they can really do a lot of good things this season, and we've seen it where 100% of the ESPN analysts in the first series against the Bucks, all of them picked the Bucks. Miami got done with them in 5. Granted, Giannis was out for 2 games, but hey, he came back for the last 2 games, put up ridiculous numbers, and they still lost. So we can't really throw an asterisk like that. Next round, we go against the Heat or the Knicks, and pretty much it's not really a pick me. A lot of analysts were favoring the Knicks. Look what happened. We beat the Knicks in 6. Probably should have ended it in 5 because game 5 was kind of close. And even game 2, it was a really close game. We didn't have Jimmy Butler, and they had Julius Randle come back. So that series is pretty much plus and minus a game in my eyes. And so when I look at this upcoming series, I'm going to have to go Heat in 7. And just like you said, I have to give like the Celtics like a nod because I don't think if it's 3-2, they're not going to go down without a fight. You pretty much saw it in Game 6 against the Philly. They kept fighting even though their best player laid an egg. So I'm going Heat in 7. Matchup wise, it's looking better than last year, even without Hero, because we got more size. We got Love, who's been really good rebounding, stretching the floor when he starts with Bam. We have Cody Zeller, who at times like infuriates me, but he can play some defense and he grabs rebounds as well. And in terms of shooting, we're actually shooting a lot better than we were in the regular season, and that's kind of carried on throughout the playoffs. There's been some stinkers here and there, but for the most part, guys are hitting the 3-point shots. So all in all, I feel like, yeah, I just feel like this is Miami's year to at least get back to the finals. I don't know, next round if they play the Lakers or the Nuggets. I don't know if they're going to win that because I feel like those two teams are like the two best teams left. But I do have Miami winning the series in 7. Um, and in terms of like just the keys to this matchup, I think Jimmy just has to play amazing like he did versus the Bucks. We probably need him to average like 30 points a game. He can't have stinkers like he did. I think he had a stinker at Game 5, and then if you go back to last year, Jimmy Butler had some pretty bad games in that Eastern Conference Final. So he has to consistently play well, which he's showed that he can do. I know he's a little banged up. Ankle looks a little gross if you saw those pictures from last Friday when he was walking out the stadium. But he has a couple of days. They play Wednesday night, so it should be healed up. He should be like 90-95%. So as long as he can stay healthy, play consistently well, score 30, if Bam can give me a good 20 and 10, and then we can get one or two more guys to give us some big shots, I think this is going 7.
Yeah, I mean, so if we kind of deeper dive it. When you want to talk about like who's got the better coach, I'm going Heat. Who's got the best player? I'm going Heat. Now,
Yeah.
who has more depth? I'd go Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to grade on. If we want to go defense, I'd probably go Celtics. Just certain players on the Celtics play a little better defense than the Heat.
Okay.
But I feel like the Heat are just somehow good at defense for no reason.
I
So,
mean, hey, they got Bam. He's all defense. I'm going to disagree with you about defense. I think defensively, Miami holds the edge this year opposed to last year. I feel like with Coach Mazzulla, he's more of like an offensive minded guy. So I feel like their defensive edge is kind of like, been lost a little bit. So even though Celtics, I'm pretty sure we're still like a top 10 defense going into the postseason, I'm going to have to give the slight nod to Miami. They've been holding teams. I mean, the Knicks have scored like under 100 a couple times in the past series. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna have to go Miami with the defense. Offense, I think it's a toss up. Like whoever makes shots, I feel like has a better offense for the night. I feel like it's pretty even. Even though you could argue that JT and JB are the two better offensive players. Coach Bo, 100% is the best coach. I mean, Mazzulla, he's a rookie head coach. He's made some rookie mistakes. Even if you look back at the last series, the players had to beg him to insert Time Lord Robert Williams into the starting lineup in Game 6 because I mean he was just stubborn and didn't like for whatever reason he didn't realize that they needed size to stop and Joel Embiid. So so they finally started him, and look what happened. So he's learning as he's going, and he's making rookie head coach mistakes. So I mean, you're right. Coaching goes to Miami. Um, yeah, and then like I said, it just comes down to who role players play better because the Celtics do have more depth. You're right. They have Brogdon. I guess now they got Derek White coming off the bench. Then you have Grant Williams, Mitchell, $20 million. You got Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, some of these guys who can shoot threes, Mike Muscala. So they definitely got depth. But I mean, if by miracle, if Tyler Hero comes back and probably later in the series because he's already ruled out. He's already ruled out for game one. So if he can come back in like games 3, 4, can come off the bench and give you like 10 to 15, then I think the odds are kind of even there. But I don't know. What do you think?
No, I just think the coaching is what's going to change it, and I think that's something that we're going to talk about in the West as well. I think coaching is going to change that as well, but
Mm.
I think the Heat should do it just because of the coach.
Yeah, I mean, coach. The coaching culture is a real thing. Like, if you can get the guys to rally behind you and really listen to your message and really commit to your schemes and stuff, uh, I mean, that makes all the difference. So, I think we both have Heat in 7, so we shall see. And moving on, we're going to the West. We have Lakers and Nuggets. Like we said earlier, this is another rematch from the bubble. So, Lawrence, I'm going to throw it to you again. Who do you have in this series? In how many games?
Um, I went Nuggets in 7. I think it's revenge time.
Mm-mm.
The way I broke it down with the Heat, I'll break it down again with the in this series as well. I think in terms of best player, I'm going Jokic, bro. Don't get it. I get it, it's the GOAT and stuff, but
Come on now.
it's Anthony Davis's team, so I'm going with Jokic. Um,
That's
in
actually
ter-
fair.
in terms of coaching, I'm I'm gonna go with the Nuggets coach just because he's coached these guys for so long. He knows
Yeah, he has.
he knows the ins and outs of everything they can do, and it really feels like he's like, I don't want to say, but like he's really like, I guess, sparked his team this postseason. It's like they're they're smashing games, like they're absolutely killing
Yes.
games. And it's like he's getting everything perfectly out of every player. Like the fact that they made their focal point. I mean, I get it. When people get hot, you tend to give them the ball, but sometimes you don't give them the chance to get the ball. But in Game 7, KCP literally just went crazy hot, and instead of like oh, but it's not our star, so I got to get my star some points. He's got an unselfish big man who, like we say, he doesn't have to be selfish. He'll get his guys buckets. And Murray sometimes has these games where he decides not to be a wild card and he plays it the right way.
Yeah.
And I think just in that beginning of the game, they just kept giving the ball to KCP, and the man couldn't miss. The man couldn't
Couldn't
miss.
miss.
So
No.
like it's like they didn't think too highly of themselves to go, oh my god, yeah, KCP's got 13 points, but Jokic has 2, so we need to give Jokic the ball. Jokic is like, I don't give a crap. Keep giving him the ball. He hot, and he would drive the lane, and he just behind the back. KCP's wide open. Well, because the Suns aren't even thinking about KCP. The Suns are saying to us, yeah, if you beat us with KCP, we accept that. Okay,
Yep.
that's why you had 81 points scored on you in the first half. That's why when they were making the jokes, that's the second time that Devin Booker's been beaten by a white European in Game 7.
Like his for anyone that's on Twitter, like they show like the little map and it's like all of Europe, Eastern Europe.
So it's like, I don't know, because in my opinion, I thought the two best teams in this postseason were the Suns and the Nuggets. And for the most part, like the Nuggets handled them. Like they let the Suns win at home twice, but they went home, smacked them, and then they decided to go to Phoenix and smack them harder. So, and I don't know. I think I was reading that the Nuggets have a running record so far in the last few seasons against the Lakers. That also being, it's not the same Lakers as the last couple seasons, not even the same Lakers as
No.
earlier in the season. LeBron didn't play all those games, but I think it's just kind of like a mindset that the Nuggets are going to be in, to just be like, dude, they're beatable, man, and like we're on fire. And I think important things happened during that Sun series. Like Michael Porter Jr. didn't look really good in the first series. against the Timberwolves.
No,
But
not really.
he had that one. He had that one incredible Game 5 at home,
Yeah.
and you could tell in Game 6 he was available to score if he. Basically, they all were, but he was available to score and get points when needed. And I think just the fact that like you can end on a game like that of just giving an absolute butt kicking to this other team, like the good movie Waterboy once said, they opened up a can of whoop ass on them. So I think just the fact that you can go like you can finish off a series like that, you get a whole extra like 2 days on the other competition. They had a whole day to just watch the Lakers perform. Like they know what they want
Yeah.
to do. And I'll finish it off on the fact that okay, so this is going to come down to the two big pieces, the two main characters. Who do I trust more, Jokic or Anthony Davis? Well, Jokic is a big man, and he might break AD in a 7-game series. He might break him, dude.
Here we go.
So, like, what am I expecting? Old man LeBron to score 40 points a game? I don't think
He might.
LeBron. I don't think LeBron can score 40 points a game.
Nah, never doubt him.
I don't think he can.
Never say never.
He's gonna have KCP slapping him up. And KCP went a whole year practicing against him, so he knows how to slap up LeBron.
Ain't nobody know how to slap up LeBron. Come on now.
I don't know about that one.
All right.
I rest my case.
So you rest your case. You got what? Nuggets in 7?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to have to disagree. When you have the GOAT things happen, all right? Now, this has been foretold. Like, our great uncle Shannon Sharp has foretold. He has foreseen what is going to come. And, when LeBron gets to the conference finals, it is written in stone. This man has only lost one conference finals way back when. Back to when before the iPhone 4 release, back in 08 against the Magic, when he was supposed to play Kobe in that finals. Was the last time he lost a conference finals. So I mean, I'm not betting against Goat Man. So I got Lakers in 6.
In
Don't
6.
Lakers in 6. I don't care if it's the Denver Nuggets, chicken nuggets, steak nuggets. It don't matter. Lakers in 6. Come on now. I can't believe
for this. Where's your evidence for this?
I mean, I got LeGoat James, and I got always dominant Anthony Davis.
Always dominant. Didn't this man get a concussion?
He ain't get none. He still played. Look at him.
And he got
17 and 20.
He got wheelchaired off?
He got wheelchaired off and came back the next game. He got 17 and 20. Come on now.
Don't buy it.
All right. Well, you two will soon be a believer. All right. Once Braun and AD get back to the finals. Lakers in 6. And then when we really get down to it, it really comes down to which duo plays better, right? LeBron, AD versus Jokic, Jamal Murray. And like you said many times on this podcast, Jamal Murray is the wild card. So I'm betting on him. He's going to not show up more times than he does show up. And then when it comes to Anthony Davis, I think he showed me in the last series that he can, other than what, I think from game 1 to 2, he didn't show up. But then after that, he consistently showed up. Whether that was, hey, I need to score this night, or hey, I need to lock down on defense and let me grab a bunch of rebounds. So I think consistency wise, I'm gonna put my trust in LeBron and AD to hold the series down. Obviously, they're gonna need to steal one on the road, so I'm thinking game 1, they're gonna steal game 1, and they play tomorrow night. So I'm predicting they steal game 1 tomorrow night. That's pretty much the only chance they have to close this out in 6. Otherwise, yeah, it's probably going 7. But I'm gonna be bold in my predictions. Lakers in 6. I mean, even breaking it down further, right? I mean, even though Darvin Ham's a rookie head coach, he's actually rallied this team around Anthony Davis and LeBron, and he's gotten the best out of not only Rui, who was a couple months ago, he was sitting on the bench in Washington, not doing anything. Comes to LA, immediately, fits in. His role changes from night to night, but he always stays ready to play. And Darvin Ham is like put the motivation into him, and hey, you gotta stay ready. Because in Washington he was, not getting any playing time, didn't like that, wanted a bigger role. Comes to LA, he gets a bigger role, but it's like sporadically, right? He doesn't, sometimes he doesn't play big minutes every game. So hats off to Darvin for doing that. It's getting the best out of Austin Reeves. I mean, look at Austin Reeves. Like, let's be honest. Did we see the Austin Reeves that we see right now? Did we see him a year ago? Like, we didn't foresee this. He's getting the best out of that kid. D'Angelo, he's playing well. So I mean, it really comes down to the role players. Can KCP, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, can these guys outplay, the Austin Reeves, the Dennis Ruders, the Ruiz, the Vandos of the world? So it's pretty much we got two, separate, like, components going on in terms of which team is going to win, basically which duo is going to play better and which role players are going to do better. Because when you come down to it, as far as defense, I feel like both teams are pretty even on defense. Would you say? I mean, Lakers were finished number one post trade deadline in defense, and Nuggets have been good on defense all year. Especially they upped it up in the playoffs. In terms of offense, both teams are pretty offensively good, so I'm not too worried about that. So, I mean, it really comes down to the role players. I feel like coaching-wise, Darvin Ham's done a good job, and Mike Malone has done a good job with his team, too.
I just think the fact that the Nuggets shoot a better field goal percentage. So they have a higher percent. They shoot at a higher percent. And that's just something that's pretty key. In terms of paint warfare, I just like the duo of Gordon and Jokic in the paint fighting for rebounds more than I like AD and who's his wingman down there in the paint? Vanderbilt? I thought he comes off the bench.
He did that one game, so they're probably going to go back to that LeBron, Vando, Anthony Davis front court.
So that's how they're going to stop Jokic, just get two towers down there?
I mean, Anthony Davis can stop Jokic by himself. Come on now. That's a one-on-one.
Nah. Jokic MVP, dog.
Yeah, you're right. He should have been, because the other guy went back home. He hasn't been out the second round in, I don't know, 4 years, 4 times now. But we'll get to him in a little bit.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jokic got hate for getting MVP votes. Freaking Mark Jackson over here didn't even vote for him somehow.
The disrespect. Come on now.
But, like, this man, he lost a game against the Suns, but scored 51 points. And then after the game, didn't badmouth his teammates when they lost. But then,
unlike somebody I know. Joel
Embiid says his team didn't show up when Maxey. No, what was it? It wasn't Maxey.
Tobias
had the most points.
Tobias and Tyrese Maxey scored more points, but we'll get into that. I want to save what I gotta say the next segment, because I'm tired of him.
All right, well, let's take it to that next segment. We said what we need about the Heat. The Heat. We said what we need about the Nuggies. You want to come over here and call them steak nuggies? I don't know about you, but before Michelle Obama hurt my school lunch, the steak nuggies were banging.
Oh, for sure. That was like top 3 like lunch choices, like in the rotation, like chicken nuggets, the steak nugget days, and then we had like chicken parm sandwiches. So those are like the top 3.
Oh yeah. I remember those chicken sandwiches. We had buffalo chicken sandwiches day. We had a chicken parm sandwich day. We had simple like literally like looks like McChickens, but they had like this ranch sauce on them. Oh, those were the days, man. Then it got destroyed.
Nah, we still had good food. We had like, they kind of pivoted to wraps, but we had some like barbecue chicken wraps or buffalo chicken wraps. Those are good.
They absolutely crushed us. It was hard.
Well,
hard times.
enough talk about school lunch. Let's get into this NBA grading series. Sixers and Warriors
All right,
coming up
y'all.
next. We're back. Let's take a
Y'all.
deep dive. Yes, y'all. A deep dive into our continuing NBA regular season grades. So we will tackle two of the latest losers of the NBA playoffs. We will start with the Golden State Warriors. They got knocked out following their Game 6 loss versus the Los Angeles Lakers. I think they played, Friday? So, yeah, they got knocked out Friday night. Didn't look too good for them. And basically, they have a lot of questions that need answering this offseason because they can't keep putting off their problems. They put off their problems from last year into this offseason. And I'm pretty much certain they need to address all the problems. So, Lawrence, I'm going to kick it to you. What is your grade for the Warriors, and how do they deal with all their issues?
Well, first off, I feel attacked a little bit. You want to talk about putting off your problems, okay? Well, we all have problems. Some of us drink, some of us gamble, we all have problems. So don't be attacking people's problems, okay? But yes, they do have a really, really bad problem. They ain't got no money.
Nope.
They got
they got money, but they ain't got money.
Yeah, they ain't got money. I mean, what's his face? Colin Cowherd talks about all the time about the dynasty that is Golden State and how Patriot-like, like the New England Patriot-like the team is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a head figure who runs the show, Steve Kerr. You got to play within the system, and the system works. It's proven to work, and guys have bought into the system. However, there's certain guys on the team, they just don't work in this said system. But that's fine. Like Colin Cowherd now analyzed, Randy Moss worked for 2 years in New England. We're not going to say that Randy Moss is a bad wide receiver because he ain't, but he didn't work out in New England. He had one good season. Second season wasn't any good, and he got traded. So, let's face it. That's Jordan Poole. There's the reason why he got punched in the face.
Come on.
There's a reason he got punched in the face. There's also a reason why certain players on this team, play better than he do in the system. Like, Dante DiVincenzo, he's not good by any means, but he's not bad by any means.
He's a solid player.
But he looks good with the Warriors. He does exactly what you need. He's not your prolific scorer, so he settles down and plays hardcore defense, so that way Steph doesn't have to. So Clay doesn't have to. Does Jordan Poole do that for you? No. Does Jordan Poole chuck up a shot and you go, what the heck? Yes.
Yes.
Now, who on that team should be the only one allowed to chuck up a shot and go, what the heck? Probably Curry should be the only one that should get that right, to just chuck up a shot. Then you can say, why would he do that?
You don't think Clay can do the same?
No.
You're a hater.
I think Clay's all right. But,
no.
He's the younger Splash Bro, okay? You let the older brother do it, then you question the younger brother for why. Even though Curry's smaller, he might be the younger, but, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that, Draymond, he's probably going to, we don't know what he's going to do. He might, be podcasting. His non-biological brother, JaMychal Green, he's probably gone. Andre Iguodala, he doesn't even play. He's just there for moral support.
He officially retired. I think this was his last season, so I think he officially retired.
Well, he was just there for moral support.
He was their Haslam.
They absolutely didn't use Ty Jerome. That was a waste.
Not in the postseason.
I think Ty Jerome has some talent, and I think he fits. I think he fits their mold a little better than Jordan Poole. Because Ty Jerome will listen. He'll listen to what you tell him to do. Jordan Poole doesn't listen. That's why he got punched in the face. He's like that annoying little kid that's just on just that you have to play AAU with, and you're like, oh man, but he's kind of good, but like it's kind of pissing me off too at the same time.
He's very much like that kid.
So I mean, unless there's a baddie in the stadium, he's not going to play very good. So all opposing teams have to do is say no baddies allowed in the first 4 rows.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's shut down. So I think in terms of the team, they need to figure out what they can do with Jordan Poole, what they can get for him. I think I see it's kind of hard because you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money, so you're gonna have to do a swap. You can't just get rid of him.
Yeah.
But what team is gonna want to swap that? It's gonna be a team that needs, I want to say, like dynamic firepower.
Yeah.
And I think a team. See, it doesn't. The landing spot doesn't work, but it makes sense based on what the Warriors would need. So a team like the Atlanta Hawks, for instance, John Collins would be a great asset to that team. Some guy who come off the bench and play extremely important minutes, or you can go small ball because we all know the Warriors love to go small ball and play Draymond at the center. So you can have, John Collins come in there and play small forward, power forward for you. You can move Clay over to the shooting guard, kick him out as small forward. You can have John Collins come in and do a great job for you. Just do certain things that they kind of really haven't had someone do, for instance. And I think it would work out well. I feel like John Collins at the Hawks knows his role. So I feel like he would join this team and know his role. I think he's a really good role guy. But see, the problem with that is the Hawks don't want Jordan Poole. They got DeJounte Murray and they got Trae Young. So they don't want Jordan Poole. So that doesn't work. But it's like a guy like John Collins that would work on this team.
Okay.
That's what I would. That's if I could do it. That's kind of a player that I think would fit on the team really well. I'm pretty sure there's another guy somewhere out here in the league where I'm just not thinking of the name and it's just not clicking. But like a small forward that knows what role needs to be played for him. I mean, there's a lot of teams that kind of need firepower, and we can delve into them. I think the Raptors could use firepower, but then who on the Raptors would the Warriors be interested in? But that would make the salary kind of match. So these are just things that you're going to have to look back and forth on and kind of figure out. I mean, you might get something spicy, kind of like, and if the case the Bucks decide not to move forward with Middleton, can they move off Middleton, or is it Middleton's option?
Middleton as an option, so most likely he's gonna probably accept, and the number is at like $40 million, so salaries don't match.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really know what to do for the team. I just kind of think that Jordan Poole needs to get gone in order to kind of have that meshing flow that the dynasty once had. Because if you look at it, like Harrison Barnes was, it was good for the team. He did exactly what you wanted him to do. And kind of since Harrison Barnes left, they haven't really filled that small forward, power forward kind of thing, that kind of role.
You don't think Wiggins has filled that?
I think Wiggins is here and there. The only problem with Wiggins is he's kind of gone a lot of the time. He's just not there. Which, when you get someone young like Wiggins, I kind of want you playing every game, every night. Especially for this dynasty-like team, I want a McCall Bridges. I want someone who's there constantly. I want you there because I need you to be my focal point when my older aging stars can't play every night. So I need you out there every night. And that's just not what Wiggins doesn't get out there every night. He's just not always on the court. I mean, he's off the court more than Curry is now. He's off the court more than Clay is now.
Well,
And
he had personal issues, so I don't know.
I have personal issues and I show up to work. So
Well, he was going through something that we don't know about. It could have been really bad.
I'm poor and I show up to work every day. So I don't feel pity for your personal issues.
Okay, fair.
I get if it's like a week or two, not for like 2 months.
Fair enough.
So that's just my 2 cents. You don't get to see most people in everyday life to take off 2 weeks or 2 months from work, and you know, is Wiggins going to start trying to pull a Ben Simmons on us now? Like, come on,
I hope not.
he's too good for that. He's a good player. He doesn't need to do that. But I do think the Warriors need some kind of like a glue, like a player who's not over the top great. He will assert himself exactly where he needs to be. And I think people like John Collins, McCall Bridges are good stars for Golden State because they'll play every night for you. So I can have Curry sit out this game, but play Clay and Draymond. I can have Draymond sit out, and I can play Curry, Clay. Just someone who's constantly going to stay in that rotation. I need a guy who's there every night. I need an Iron Man. There you go.
Yeah. So what's your grade? What's your overall grade for the season?
I think the overall grade is, I think it's a little boring, but it's like a B. I
Yeah.
mean, did we really think they were gonna, make a lot of splash and noise? Yes, and they did per se. Here, like you can't completely write off the fact that they had a bad season. I mean, they beat one of the hotter teams in the league, in the Sun and the Kings. Like they did what they were supposed to. They beat up the younger team, and then they got beat by a little bit more well put together and a little bit more healthy, a little bit wants it more Lakers team that will get bounced in this round. So we'll
Nope.
question about the Warriors further after, because they didn't lose to the West champions. They lost to the runner ups. I'd just give it a B.
Yeah. A B is fair, and I think that's where I'm going. Maybe a little bit less. Maybe I'm thinking B minus. I think based on how the regular season went, they had their road woes, couldn't win on the road.
Yeah, that was bad.
That pretty much, I mean, to be honest, that pretty much killed any hope of getting very far in the postseason because, like all the wise coaches say, the series doesn't start until a team wins on the road. And you might say, hey, the Warriors won 2 games on the road. They beat the Kings twice, or no, what? Well, yeah, twice
They
and
beat the Kings on the road twice.
on twice. She's like, oh yeah, they did pretty good. When the competition got tougher, they couldn't beat the Lakers in LA. So, uh, yeah. So those are early season, issues that were giving me like a little bit of concern. Of course, the whole Draymond Jordan Poole incident, in training camp, that was really alarming. Uh, like a lot of other analysts and people in the media, and just like I guess you can throw in sports Twitter, like we all kind of guessed it. Like they're not gonna get past it, right? I mean, someone literally punches you in the face with like no hesitation. Like obviously, Draymond doesn't have any like respect for Jordan Poole. Doesn't give a f about Jordan Poole. Like I can't imagine. I mean, I played sports growing up, and football, track, basketball, AAU basketball. Like, I can't imagine me just rolling up on a teammate and just decking them in the face. Like, even if I am very angry, like, I'm not going to beat the crap out of somebody. Like, so that just automatically threw off the chemistry, right? And they already had to get the chemistry to work even better because, hey, you pay Jordan Poole all this money. He's kind of in like limbo because he needs starter minutes, but there's no place in the starting rotation for him in like most games. So he's going back to the 6 man. But hey, in some games they can get away with starting him alongside Steph, Clay, and Draymond. So that whole situation was just very weird, and trying to manage all this chemistry BS that's going on was just, I'm thinking, like pretty much the downfall of their season. So I'm giving them a B minus. Um, and looking forward to their off season, I mean, they have one draft pick 19. So they're out the late. I mean, that's not the lottery. They're basically picking mid to late round. I'm sure there's some prospect who they're trying to acquire at 19. Can they trade it? Yeah, they can trade it the night of the draft. So we'll see if they try to flip that pick into, like you said, get them like a small forward veteran player who can come in, make an impact. Or will they, continue to try to get young because they have like a huge payroll, which they need to address like literally this summer because like it's going to eat them alive. Like they can't keep paying all this money in luxury tax. So they have their pick this year. In terms of free agents, we already know Draymond is his player option. DiVincenzo as a player option. I'm pretty sure he's only making like $4.5 million. So DiVincenzo is a solid player. He can probably get more somewhere else. So I'm kind of 50-50 if he stays. And they can't, because they're so far in the luxury tax, they can't offer him like a big extension. And they don't have his bird rights because he was a free agent. So he's only technically have 1 year in bird rights. So he would have to sign like another 1 year deal at the same amount. And then next year he can sign a bigger extension, starting at like $12 to $14 million. So we'll see if he stays. It's a 50-50 for me. Jermichael Green, he poked the bear just like Dylan Brooks did, so he's probably gone. What a dummy. Iggy, Iggy retired, so bye bye, Iggy. You were, really good for the Warriors for the past X years. I don't know how long you were there. Ty Jerome, Anthony Lamb, and Lester Quinos. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but they're all restricted, so they're probably on team friendly deals, so they're probably coming back. So basically, when it comes to the team needs, they basically need the front court presence, like you already said. Get a good small forward in there who can make an impact. Obviously, they need some center help because Looney can't do it all. They traded Wiseman, which I'm going to say here, right here, right now, was a horrible decision. Like, why did they give up on the kid? The kid's a 7-footer who can play. He may not play as well as you want him to right now, but why are you giving up on him like a year early? You still had another year at least. Like, I don't understand giving up on him. That was like the dumbest decision they could have made. And I think it's going to cost them another chip. But they gave up on him. So maybe I'm thinking, Poole obviously has to go because he just doesn't fit, like you said. So in terms of trade, fits that I'm looking for, they're deep in the luxury tax, so they basically need to match salaries. So if I'm matching salaries, there's not too many people who make $30 million that the Warriors want, so they're probably going to have to split Jordan Poole into two players. So we need a good center, and we need a good wing probably, or maybe even backup point guard. Someone who can do Poole's job but cheaper. So when we scour around the league, maybe a Nas Reed from the Timberwolves. Like, I know he's hurt, but if he can come back, maybe you can get him. Plus another player off the Timberwolves. I don't know. You have to split that contract up into two. Maybe you can take one of the Pistons. I mean, nah, you probably don't want to do that. Yeah, it's just hard because there's a lot of teams I feel like who want Jordan Poole, but there's not a lot of players that the Warriors would want in exchange for him, if that makes sense.
Especially for what they have to pay. It's hard.
Because with you have to like exactly match the salaries. I think you can only take like 110% because of the new CBA. So I think the most they can take back is 30 million. So it's just gonna be really hard. I don't know. He has to go, but I don't know what that looks like. And then my last point, I think Kuminga's gone too. His agent came out and said that they're meeting with the Warriors to discuss his future. I mean, I know he's only 2 years in, and they still have him for two more. But he's like, if they go in the direction of Draymond, I think he's probably like a lost cause. I feel like he's another trade candidate. Uh, I think just because of how they have to keep up the roster and how much money they have to pay, I think he might be a casualty. He's a good kid, has good promise, good potential, but in my eyes, I feel like the Warriors are going to re-sign Draymond for like another 2 years. Probably re-sign Clay for another 2 years too. At like a, give them both team-friendly deals so they all align with Steph Curry's last. Because Steph Curry has 3 years, so they probably get the big three to get 3-year contracts, and then at the end of the 3 years in the future, they'll decide whether to blow this thing up or whatever they decide to do. So that's my spiel. A B- for the defending champs who just got knocked out.
All
Anything else
right.
you want to add?
No, not at all. I'm just excited for this next part. So that's kind of why I want to give it to you first, because I've been going first all night. But I
Man,
mean, we both watched that RDC World One. Let's give them a shout out, RDC World One.
RDC, that's my boy.
But like, come on, I know you're ready for this. I know you've been pumped up all day for this. Hit me with it.
Y'all, I've been sitting on this. They played last night, or not even last night, last afternoon, 3:30. I've been sitting on this all for the past 24 hours. For all of you Joel Embiid loving people out there, I have something to tell you, all right? He's not that guy. Your man sold. He sold in back-to-back games. Your boy hasn't been out the second round in the past 4 years. He got beat. Not only did he get beat by JT, who scored like single digits in Game 6 and then came back and gave you 50, you got beat by little Maestre, who hasn't been out the first round since he beat you. You got beat by Miami last year. And then you got beat by Toronto off Kawhi's. I guess it was a lucky shot, but you let Kawhi back when the Raptors only had him and Siakam, and Fred VanVleet was just starting to blossom. And the man is, I think Joel's like 0-2 now or 0-3 in Game Sevens. But we want to blame Doc Rivers, and don't get me started on James Harden, the ultimate seller. He's selling better than Girl Scout cookies. How much they sell every year? It's ridiculous. And then Joel Embiid has enough of a attitude to go up on the post game interview and then say, "Yeah, we got to be better," But I can't win alone. James, me and James can't win alone. I think everyone has to, find some way to get better. Bro, what? Bro, you're a bum. The person at the media has gone and just like try to like wish their way into the MVP. The guy that they said, hey, plays elite both sides of the ball, has been the runner up for 2 years in a row, who supposedly is the best big man in the league. That guy scored 15 points, and then is going to throw his teammates under the bus for the second time. First it was Ben Simmons, and now he's throwing under everyone else. The Tyrese Maxeys, the Tobiases, everyone else. Even though Tyrese and Tobias scored more than him and James. Come on, bro. Like I don't get it. The guy who's the MVP this year, he's been crying about MVP for the past couple years. He should have been crying about getting out the second round because he can't do that. The guy that his favorite player Jimmy Butler, they didn't want him, so they traded him to Miami because he didn't fit, and they gave Tobias and Max. Jimmy Butler's been in 3 conference finals in 4 years. They got rid of Ben Simmons because he was the problem. They threw him under the bus, him and Doc. Hey, you're in the same situation as you've been in. It wasn't all Ben Simmons now.
Mm-mm.
So I don't understand why these stupid narratives about, hey, we got to pick the MVP. You have to play both sides of the ball to win MVP. And so they ran with that and gave it to Joel, who, I mean, he deserved it. But let's be honest, has there ever been an MVP who has played both sides of the ball besides like MJ? Allen Iverson won. He didn't play both, even though he led the league in steals a couple times. Derrick Rose damn sure didn't play defense. Steph Curry damn sure didn't play defense, and he won the unanimous one. The only person win unanimously. James Harden damn sure didn't play defense and he won one. Like, come on. So they get an F. The Sixers have a championship roster and they sold again. They've been selling for 4 years now. They get an F. And they put all their chips into one basket and look at them. They got 0 draft picks, no draft picks, and they got all these damn free agents. They got James Harden. He's going back to Houston, so he doesn't have to play in the playoffs anymore. They got Montrez. He didn't get off the bench. They got House Jr. He might come back, and then we go down the list. Jalen McDaniels. Yeah, he might come back. Dwayne Dedman. He's a bum. Shake Milton. I don't know. Don't really care about him. He might be back. Niang. He played well, so he might get another contract. Paul Reed, restricted, so it's probably team friendly. He's probably back. Matt McClung, he's probably back because they need to sell tickets because they don't have anything going on in Philly. And Louis King, I don't know who that is, so it's just an F, bro. I don't want to dive into their regular season because they were a championship team and they sold. So I'll give it off to you. I'm just sick of it.
I'm right there with you. I'd give him a D or an F. Probably an F. I agree with you. I mean, you're supposed to be in the conference final. You have an MVP. So if I give you MVP, I expect at least conference championship, at least like minimum.
And they were giving Jokic a hard time because he didn't go far in the playoffs. Yet this man has been to 2 Western Conference finals in the past 4 years. And that was another reason why he shouldn't have got another MVP.
It's hard. It's hard to get to the Western Conference Finals because there's a lot of deep teams in the West. There maybe not this year as much, but in past years, the West has been so deep. I mean, even a couple years ago, even the Portland Trailblazers were somehow good. So I mean, there's been so many good teams in and out of the West, and it's hard to get to that conference final. But not crapping on the Heat or anything. But for the last couple seasons, it's really just been the top 4 teams in the East that have been deadly. Outside of this year, with the Heat being an 8 seed, but let's be realistic. The Heat, if they were healthy, like you said earlier, they would have been a higher rated seed. So it's a little skewed. It is a little skewed. But like this was going to be the easiest matchup of your life. You were gonna face the Heat in the conference championship, which no offense, but you match up so well. Like you should be able to go out there and dominate the Heat. Because the Heat's one of their best players is in the paint. Okay, it doesn't matter because I got Joel Embiid. He's MVP. He's automatically going to get me some points. And then Harden, okay, Jimmy Butler's going to be taking too much time trying to shut down Harden. Harden's just going to pass the ball anyways. So boom, you matched up so well to beat this team. You actually matched up well to beat the Celtics. Couldn't do that.
That was
one.
A good matchup too. Yeah.
I mean, like you were built to beat these teams and you failed. Like, trust the process. I mean, I'm kind of scared for all the Commander fans here in this area because they're going to trust the process that the owner has to give out, and well, it might sell tickets and get you to the postseason, but it's also going to get you knocked out in the first round for the next couple of seasons and for Commanders. I mean, you're gonna have to pay people too. I mean, Tobias Harris is gonna get paid. He's gonna get some money this year. Salary's just gonna keep going up. D'Anthony Melton's gonna get a little bit more money this year, which I think he's well deserved for it.
Yeah.
He's an unsung hero on this team. So, I mean, PJ Tucker, you're not gonna lose him, but let's be realistic. He's probably going to be one of those teams that wants out. Not teams. One of those players that wants out because I mean I think the writing is on the wall at this point in this team. James Harden's probably not going to take his player option, and I think James Harden goes to a team that he feels like you said, right, the Rockets, where he can kind of go do his thing, hang out with the vibe of the city. He likes some Houston vibes. I think another team that he might go to is somewhere like Orlando. Like I said in the last
Yeah.
episode about Orlando, like he can go to Orlando. No one's gonna pay attention to him. He'll get buckets every night. He has a nice nightlife. Like Orlando might be a place for him just so he can make all his money and not get taxed on it. I mean, that was
Yeah.
one of his biggest pet peeves when he was playing in Brooklyn was how much money he was getting taxed. So he actually cares about his money. So he's gonna go somewhere that will get him the bag, the
Yeah.
highest bag he can. Which outside of the final game 7, Harden was the only bright spot of the series for the 76ers. It's kind of bad when James Harden is the only one not selling, and your MVP is the one selling the hardest. Because what in this series? What game did Embiid just go? Wow! Like an
Well,
MVP should make you go wow.
he had a
Harden
couple
had
30. He had a couple 30-point games.
but Harden had 40-point games, and Harden's
Yeah.
not supposed to be your MVP. Embiid's supposed to be MVP. I mean, Jokic had a 51-point game. Did he go sell out his fan? Did he go sell out his teammates after the game? No, he just said it was his fault.
Yep.
With Jokic, you don't have to say it's your fault. You scored 51 points. Actually, I think he scored more than 51 points. But you scored 51 dang points. You had half the points of your team. You don't have to be sorry. We take into account his assist. He had his hand in almost all the points. You don't have to be sorry. You can call your team bums at that point. But when you score 15 points, you can't call your team bum.
Yep.
You are the bum. You were the MVP bum. Which just kind of makes you want to go back to giving it to freaking Jokic. Because he's consistently getting his team farther. I wouldn't say farther and farther, but he's consistently getting his team close enough to the
farther.
cusp. He's getting closer and closer and closer to the cusp. I think just certain players on the team, like Montrezl Harrell, he's not going to come back. He's going to go somewhere where he can be like a sixth man again, or he might be playing with the Shanghai Knights or Shanghai King. What is it?
Shanghai Sharks.
Shanghai Sharks. Yeah, he might go over there just so he can be like a god amongst those guys.
Hey man, Taiwan plays well, so he might be on the same team as Dylan Brooks and Dwight Howard. Might have a big 3 right there.
I mean, Daniel House Jr., in my opinion, deserves to go to a team in which he can come off the bench and score points.
He's a good player.
They don't use him. They don't use him the way he needs to be used. He should be allowed to go to a team that's going to let him just come off the bench and shoot points.
Yeah.
George Niang has been wasting his career just sitting on that bench of the 76ers. George Niang, honestly, he could go play, like a Kyle Anderson role on a different team. And I'm not saying Kyle Anderson's any good or not, but Kyle Anderson has a identified role, and he does what he's supposed to do in his role. George Niang, he will go out there and get you points. And there's probably a team out there that could use some points like that. Just a hustle guy.
Oh, of course.
So, I mean, he should go and get himself a slight bag. He's not going to get paid insane, but he can get like 8 million, right? 7 million, 8 million. He can go get it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Matt McClung, let's face it, if I was him, I'd leave and go get me a team where I can actually, play, get to do something. Because, obviously the guy has proven he can dunk. And the few games he gets to play on the 76ers, he scores some points. I think he's kind of like a Luka Garza type, what I talked about another episode. Luka Garza, when he did play, he looks really good, but they don't let him play. So I think Matt McClung, you actually let him play, be your 8th man or something. Yeah, I think you do a decent job just getting you points off the bench. They don't need him to come off the bench. But I think this coming up year, the 76ers are going to be one of those teams that takes a kind of a huge step back just because everyone's done there. I mean, I would be done if my MVP, we sat through his little commencement speech or whatever you want to call it, his little hello, congrats. We're all in the background cheering him on. And then 7 games later, he says, well, these guys are all bums.
Yeah,
And two
basically, that's what he said.
and two role players scored more points than you. So I don't know if I can call Tobias Harris a role player, but for basically how they use him a lot of the time, I'll call him a role player just for
He's
this.
a max player. He's getting paid like a max player.
Well,
And
they don't treat
Tyrese
him like
Max
one.
and Tyrese Max, he's about to get paid a max. So
Yeah, that's a year away though. So
yeah, we're a year away from that, but it's like a future thing.
yeah, I mean, Harden's going to go to a team in which he can get the most of his money. I don't think Philly has the greatest nightlife either, so I'm pretty sure it's a good one, but it's not the greatest. I mean, that's why the man's in Vegas every other night. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of last points. Do we think Doc is coming back next year? Because I'm kind of still 50-50. Like, I think he will, just because I don't think this is all his fault. Like, literally, James Harden and Joel both sold really hard. So I feel like Daryl Morey will give him another chance, but it's still in the air.
I think he should get another chance, but I don't know if I want to. I think Doc's had enough time and has proven not to be good enough. I don't
Yeah.
I don't even think all these like where it's like, oh, well, he's not clutch. Like, I don't even think half the time then they lose, it's even his fault.
It's
He's putting
not.
the he's putting the team out there, and he's putting the correct team against and is playing the team correctly. His team just doesn't perform, and he can't physically force someone to perform. I don't know how you can say it's his fault when the guy who won MVP can't score more than 15 points. Like, how can you physically blame him? Like, I mean, like they said in the video, RDC World. I mean, Harden, you scored 9 points. How did you score those 9 points? All in one quarter? Two, 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 three? Like how many? Was it three threes? Was it twos and free throws? Like, how'd you score them? Because I don't even know how you score only 3 points. All right, 9 points.
Just selling. He's been selling his whole career. Come on now.
Dude, he had played 41 minutes and got 3 points. He wasn't even in double digits in anything.
Ridiculous. And I know they threw Ben under the bus, but it wasn't Ben's fault. Like, it wasn't solely his fault. Yeah, he probably should have been more aggressive, but it wasn't his fault. And we can see that clearly now.
We also asked Ben to guard the best player on every team, and he did his job.
He did his job. What did Joel do? 0-3 in game sevens. And how in the hell he let the one ice tray was the best player on the Hawks? How do you not like stop one guy? That's all they had.
His ice tray built different.
He is. So we'll see what direction the Sixers head into next season. Right now, it's not looking too good. You have a potential head coach who might be moved. James Harden's probably on the move. And then you look even further ahead, what free agents are going to want to come play in Philly when you lose, Joel's going to throw you under the bus and call you a bum, basically. Like, who wants to play for a guy like that? So we both said Fs. We want to know what you guys think, so either drop a comment or answer the poll if you will be watching on Spotify. All right, folks. Coming up to wrap up this show, we have our rapid fire. So stay tuned. Time to kick off this rapid fire. We're going to stay in the NBA for the first topic today. So, coaches. We had a couple coaches who unfortunately have lost their positions. So, the three coaches that are most likely going to get a job within the next few weeks, Coach Monty Williams, Coach Budenholzer, and Coach Nick Nurse, all are they are prime candidates for a lot of coaching opportunities in the NBA. Lawrence, I'll let you start first. Where do you see each of these three good guys going?
I'll start with. I don't know which one. I don't want to. I can't. I don't think it's gonna be Monty. I'm gonna go with either Coach Bud or Nurse. I think one of them is gonna go back to college. I think someone might go back to the college games, just because how much it's changed. I just feel like I feel like college hoops kind of slept on right now, especially with the new NIL rules. Like the fact that you can move guys around, like you can draw guys in, you can start a good program. I think for a guy like Coach Bud, everyone's been kind of saying that like, oh, he's a product of what he's had around him. I think it's a perfect opportunity to go showcase what you can do. Because there's schools like Minnesota, like past years, you guys have been good at basketball, just haven't been good recently. You could easily revamp and restart that program. You can do the Rick Pitino route and go to Iona or a small school like that and make it pop out of nowhere and consistently get to the tournament. Maybe not perform in the tournament, but I've proven that I can get to the tournament with good teams, and I don't, I don't get you know pounced or destroyed in the tournament. I mean, Iona actually was one of the better teams that played UConn. They unfortunately got UConn first, but they didn't get destroyed like other teams did by UConn. They lost, but they didn't get killed as bad. So I feel like someone needs to go back to college and like show everyone they still got it. Monty, mm, Monty will probably either be coaching. I think Monty will probably go to the Raptors. I think that
Mm.
seems like a good fit for him. Uh, I don't see the Raptors. They have talent and they have have good like defensive mindset. So I feel like that's a good place for Monty to get started in. He can start revamping them offensively, and that way they can still have that defensive mindset as well that they already came in with. So, and in terms of Coach Nurse, um, I really don't know any other vacancies that are going to be out there
Yeah.
uh, that he can just go show his magic at. I mean, he did win a title with really only Siakam, Leonard, and Fred Van Vliet. Basically, it was just Siakam and Leonard. And you got to think about it like Coach Nurse has been like one of the only guys to get the most out of Leonard in the last couple of years. To get
Yeah.
the absolute most out of him. So he obviously was doing something right there in Toronto. I don't know what tea he made Leonard drink, but he was sipping on it and he was having a good time. So it's kind of where my thoughts are. I don't really know all the NBA vacancies to be quite honest with you to say who's going to go where. I just think someone needs to try the college route and prove that like I still got it. College is vastly changed than what it used to be. It's not as much. I need to go out there and scout the best guys. No, I can figure out who's good in college and say, hey, come play for me. I want an NBA ring.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. I think for me, I think if the Sixers get rid of Doc, I feel like the good fit for them is probably Coach Bud. Daryl Moore is going to want is going to want his guy. I don't know if they worked together previously, but he probably wants someone who has experience coaching a big man. Coach Bud obviously coach Giannis, so move in, be able to coach Joel. You know, maybe put some of that magic on him that he put on Giannis, and maybe he'll stop being a bum in the playoffs. So I feel like that's probably naturally a good fit, even though Budenholzer has just some issues with being stubborn and not wanting to change too much. Um, so I think that's where he'll go. In terms of Monty, uh, it's up in the air. Will the Bucks give him a chance? They already I think gave him an interview. ESPN was reporting that aggressively chasing him. We'll see how accurate that is. Really, I think he has a good chance to go to Milwaukee, but I don't think it's a definite 100% right now. Um, I think Nick Nurse probably ends up in Phoenix. I feel like Matt Ishbia. I think he's a new owner. He's going to want his guy. Nick Nurse has proven he's you know is a proven coach. One with, like you said, Kawhi and Siakam and young Fred Van Fleet. Has some experience. He gets the best out of his guys. I mean, the Raptors are I mean, they were bad this year, but in sports they look pretty good, and that's all because of his coaching style. So I feel like Matt's going to give him a chance to go to Phoenix and coach them. I think Kevin Durant and Devin Booker would benefit very very heavily from Nick Nurse's coaching style and his schemes. So yeah, that's where I got those three going. And moving on, we're gonna go into some football. Unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but our local DC Defenders, they didn't close the deal, Lawrence. They didn't close the deal.
They
We
shit
both
the
watched
bed.
we both watched the game Saturday night. Uh, I just don't know. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. The team went 10-1 and lost to a losing record teams in the Renegades. So, if you want to start us off, what were your takeaways from the game?
Um, I think defensively it was a little depressing. I think towards the end of the season, everyone kind of figured them out. In terms of defense, it was just blitz, 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 blitz. So, what did they do? They just dink and dunked it down the field, short runs against the blitz side. Catch them off guard. They just attacked them the whole time. It was relentless. I
Yeah,
mean, they have one of the best punters in Marquette King on the Renegades. Didn't even need him. Didn't really. I saw them punt two whole times. Um, it was embarrassing
yeah,
to say the least. I mean, it just kind of blows that, like, okay, we're in the DC metropolitan area, and consistently we don't have good teams. The Washington Nationals, they're not good. Okay, I guess we were spoiled because we had the Washington Capitals that were good for so long, but now they're no good. Um, Commanders, they're no good.
nope.
Mystics, I don't care about them. That's messed up. Um, DC United, they're meh. They got a good coach, but they're meh. Uh, there's that women's soccer team that plays at Audi Field. They're pretty
Yeah,
nice, but I'm not gonna go watch it. Um,
no.
so in terms of, like, college teams around here, George Washington sucks. Georgetown sucks. George Mason sucks. American University, if you even count that, sucks. There's nothing to root for around here. There's just nothing. And then we finally get a breath of fresh air, and that's why everyone liked the DC Defenders so much. It's because the Commanders have ruined us for so long. The Washington Nationals, they've been poop since they won the title, and that's because they just. And now they got a new ownership who, wants to make the ticket prices so expensive. But why would I want to pay to watch the Washington Nationals when they're poop? I mean, they have one of the worst pitching staffs in all of the MLB. So what am I supposed to, what glamour is supposed to draw me in there? The
I don't
Commanders
know.
don't even. I mean, the only reason I'm supposed to go to that is if I'm a fan of the away team, so I can have a home field game away from home.
Yep.
Um, I mean, the Warriors. I mean, not the Warriors. Sorry, the Wizards. I don't know. I don't know how horrible the Wizards are. They're just not good. I mean,
No.
that's the problem with the team they have. The team's always hurt. They just got
Very
brittle
true.
bone. They got a brittle bone team. And that's kind of what our defense was. First drive, we got so many guys get hurt, and after that, it was just over because the offense didn't show up. The one time that they had the chance to change and flip the script, they walked down the field with ease, and then threw an interception in the end zone. And Arlington proceeded to walk down the field and kick a field goal. DC quickly scored 6 points. Um, but that was big. That was a 9 point play right there. You allowed the other team to score 3 points, and you didn't score 6 points yourself. So it was absolutely horrifying to watch. That's my cup of tea for that. Just kind of adds to the pain of being a DC sports fan.
Yeah, yeah, it sucked. It sucked, bro. Like I was expecting, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone, like me, you, Tevin, we were all pretty high on the defenders, and I think we did like a little early prediction like a couple weeks ago, and pretty sure all three of us said, yeah, like DC defenders, 10-1, they got the championship game. It's pretty much a wrap. And lo and behold, they laid an egg. I'm pretty sure in the first quarter they were down at some point like 17-0, and then I think they got a score late in the first. Uh, it was just ridiculous. Like I said earlier, Renegades were a losing record team going into the playoffs. They catch fire, which is good for them. I guess it makes for a good headline, a good Cinderella story. And like you said, teams towards the latter half of the season were figuring out the DC Defenders defense. Even though the last game, which we went to, was pretty much a defensive. I think that was a defensive game. Second half of that game, we really shut down. I forgot who we played, but whatever team we played, we shut them.
Seattle.
Oh, we played the Seattle in the championship game. Yeah. Second half, they really didn't have too much offense going on. So I was expecting big things going into Saturday. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is it's interesting that the team that won it all was the team that The Rock wore the first jersey of. The opening game, he wore a Renegades jersey.
The script. The scripts. Come on now. We got they writing scripts in XFL now. Come on, Rock. You doing us like this, bro?
Well, he did come from the WWE, bro.
Hey, so he's a master at it.
He can hide those scripts with ease.
But I mean, like you said, the Renegades were giving up everything. Or no, the DC Defenders were giving up everything, letting the Renegades get whatever they want, short passes, a couple medium to long passes here and there, just picking apart the defense, running, getting good gains. Perez, who was 26 of 36 for 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a game's MVP. I believe they traded for him about halfway through the season. Yep. It just sucks because the Defenders had the coach of the year. They're number 1 ranked defense, right? And then they had the best running back. So the stars were aligned. We were aligned to get the first championship in forever since the Mystics, if you want to count that. So like the stars were aligned, and somehow, some way, a DC sports team just lets us down. I don't get it.
And we also had the player of the year too, in Jordan Teamu, which I don't understand. I didn't think he was all that good.
He was good. He wasn't like all that, right?
No, he wasn't even a top 3 quarterback in my opinion. I mean, AJ McCarron, Ben DiNucci, Perez, when he did get to play, they were all better quarterbacks than he was. So the fact that they let him win it was interesting to me. I think Joseph on the defense for DC should have won it, but you're never going to give that kind of reward to a defensive guy. But the dude, they played 10 games and the man had 6 interceptions. He almost had Trayvon Diggs stats and interceptions, and Trayvon Diggs plays in 17 games in comparison to 10. So I just think that Joseph was a more impactful player consistently. And also because Jordan Teamu wasn't the thing that was lighting teams up. It was the running back. And then they would just get so focused in on the running back and Teamu running against them that he would eventually, every once in a while, just throw a deep ball and they would hit it. So that's just something that the Renegades made sure they didn't have to happen. We're just going to stop the run and make him throw it and make him beat him with his arm, and he can't do it. He just couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. Maybe next year. XFL will be back. We have yet to know what that looks like, but when we do, we will surely be talking about it. And moving on, we got our last rapid fire segment. Peacock today announced alongside the NFL that they have exclusively bought the rights to, I guess, stream, because it's only on Peacock. They're going to stream one of the wildcard games exclusively on Peacock. So, ladies and gents, get ready to pony up some more dollars if you want to watch this playoff game. I'll take this topic first. I already have Peacock, so it's not really a big deal for me. But I can imagine if you're one of the millions of people who love football, your team so happens to be in that wild card matchup, which let's be honest, is probably going to be it's probably going to be the worst of the wild card matchups because they're going to want the better matchups on CBS and Fox. So if
Mm-hmm.
your team gets stuck in that matchup, you have to pony up the what is it, $5 a month? I think it's $5 a month if you don't have a promo. I pay like $1 a month for a couple more months because I got some good promo. So just be ready. Hey, next what, December, January? Just save your pennies. Give up $5 or however much it's going to be then, and hope you have a good Wi-Fi, good internet to stream Peacock. You're going to be a couple minutes behind. So good job NFL and good job Peacock.
Um, I think it's a joke. Now, if
Yeah,
you were to tell me that they were gonna like test it out with like, I don't know, like a Sunday night football game or something, okay, maybe. But no, do a playoff game? No. I mean,
no,
I told you about this. Like, okay, the MLS coughed up money, or got money from Apple, so they could have Apple had have exclusive rights to all of the games. Okay, well, people like me who liked watching the MLS, I don't care anymore. Like, there's plenty. There's English Premier League. They're not going to sell out. They know what's good. So I don't need to watch MLS. I mean, they're not very good anyways. It's just kind of fun to watch all the action because none of them play defense. And the teams that do play defense, you just don't watch those teams. When it
yeah,
was on ESPN Plus, it made sense. You know, everyone has ESPN Plus if they're in the sports because it's cheap and everything's on it pretty much. I mean, UFC's on it. I mean, you can
yeah.
pretty much get anything you want on ESPN Plus. There's always something. But you sold out and you sold out to Apple. But you gotta be wondering like why didn't the Bundesliga sell out to Apple when they were given a bag? Well, it's because the Bundesliga knew that if I go straight to Apple, then no one can watch me, and no one's going to watch me. I'm not going to make any money, so I can stay on ESPN Plus and consistently make money. You know, it might not be as much as the bag Apple gave me, but over time, it's still a good bag. The Premier League's never going to leave NBC, but maybe
No,
then and NBC's already started getting cute with it by putting certain games on Peacock. But I mean, that's also fair. You're not going to put every single game on TV because you can't. You physically
you
can't.
can't.
They
No,
play 4 games sometimes on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. There's 4 games happening. Okay, they have one game on USA, and then the 12:30 game they put on NBC. They give you 2 games. That's fair. That's fair. They're just going to put the rest of them on Peacock, but that's fine because Peacock is, like you said, pretty much affordable. But
for
it's like
now.
for now. But it's just these things like why are you gonna make people, I mean the NFL gets so much revenue. Why are you gonna make people who live out in the country, they're not gonna be able to watch it.
Nope,
They're not gonna have the Wi Fi to watch it.
nope.
The fact that the NFL Sunday ticket is on YouTube TV, people out in the country can't watch it. They don't have the
Nope.
Wi Fi. It made sense when it was on DirecTV because everyone out in the country has DirecTV, and DirecTV was smart, and they allowed you to stream it as well. You didn't have to have DirecTV to get Sunday Ticket. You could just have
Yes, you
Sunday
did.
Ticket. Well, I mean, I got Sunday Ticket.
If you were in college, you could get it separate. But if you weren't in a college, you had to get DirecTV.
Well, never once got
Yeah.
DirecTV, and I was still watching. I guess they thought I was still in college. Either way, I think I think the NFL needs to figure it out. Because the world, like the whole world's not like the cities, and not gonna hate on it, but most of your people who are watching your sports aren't in the city because people in the city have more things to do during the day on the weekends. The people watching, the main viewers, are the ones who are out in the suburbs or out in the countryside with nothing. They don't have as much to do. We just watch our football team. Not to say that there's not a lot of people in the city that aren't watching it because there are, but
Visit us.
I mean, I watch every single football game. But I know diehard fans up here who don't watch every single football game. They just catch
Very
the
true.
recaps because they wanted to go out on Sunday. They wanted to go out. I'm not going to fault them for it, but
Yeah.
you got to stay tuned and stay hip to your audience, and you can't put playoff games. You can't do that. This is a playoff game. You want as many people as possible watching it. Now, I
Yeah.
guess what they're thinking is like, oh, we're gonna have a matchup like the Eagles and Giants, and it's gonna be a 56-7 game. Let's put that on Peacock. I mean, I guess, but then you're gonna make all the Eagles fans pissed off that they missed a blowout. So, just a little dumb. I just don't understand how. Like that's what pretty much killed NASCAR was the fact that they used to put NASCAR on ABC, NBC, and Fox, and then they got cute with it and they decided to put it only on Fox Sports One. Not everybody had Fox Sports One, and a
Yeah.
lot of people watching your NASCAR, they just have basic cable, and that's why they were watching it because it was down there. And when you took it off basic cable, NASCAR quickly died. And then they tried to revive it by like having, I think it's like 3/4 of the season is on NBC, and Fox, but you lost your audience because now you're asking these people to come back to watch you on NASCAR, but there's none of the same drivers. They're all different. So now they have no personal tie to really any drivers. And all the older drivers that were still there have slowly just dissipated, moved on, because people aren't driving as old as they used to anymore. So NASCAR screwed that up. They screwed the pooch. If you watch a NASCAR race, they strategically, when they're watching the guys on the track, they strategically never show you the stands except for certain spots because that's the only spots that there's fans at. But every once in a while, you'll catch it where you look at the whole track and there's stands everywhere, but no one's sitting in them because
Mm.
no one's watching them anymore because they screwed the pooch. They took away the audience. They took away the viewership to the audience that was watching, the guys who had nothing to do in the country. And it's not that they're watching NASCAR. It's NASCAR's really nice to have on in the background while you're piddling in the garage. Because I don't have to sit there and watch the race the whole time. I can go 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 laps. Not too much has changed. I'll tune in and I'll go, oh crap, there's a wreck. Cool. Back to piddling on my car or back to piddling whatever I was doing in the garage. That's what people were watching NASCAR on. And then you took it away from them. So it's the same
You
thing
hate
with
to see it.
NFL. They're slowly just going to take. Most people can't even watch Thursday night football.
Unfortunately. And it's not like Peacock's a bad service. I mean, for what you pay, you get WWE, you get access to NBC Sports, so it's like a good value. But for a playoff game, nah. Let's keep it. Let's keep it on whatever network they want to do it. If NBC wants to host another playoff game, sure, throw NFL a bag and have it on cable so people can watch it. I don't think it's fair. So that is that. This is the end of rapid fire. So, Lawrence, any closing words? Anything you want to throw out there? Any future bets you are taking in the near future?
All right, I've been telling everyone Carolina Hurricanes to win the Stanley Cup. If you jumped on it earlier with me, you would have gotten that. I think it was what was it? Oh, what do I got it at? I got it here at plus 500 is what I had it at.
Ooh,
Now it sits at plus 200. So you lost a whole lot of value. But don't get
yeah.
scared. Don't get scared. Because if the Hurricanes drop the first game to Florida Panthers somehow, they're going to have value. But I promise you they will not lose to the Florida Panthers.
Well, at plus 200, that's still value. What I tell people, hey, if it's plus money, there's value. All right, so you might not get as big as a bag, but hey, I would put some money down.
You
Uh,
should. You could have been like me and too scared to put it down when it was even more juicy. I just saw it at plus 450 and I was like, oh man, that's just too juicy to pass up. And especially now that Edmonton's been eliminated, I mean, Carolina Hurricanes are looking at this as prime opportunity. They're kind of like they're a little bit ahead of schedule. The Hurricanes could still use like one or two players in order to expect them to make a deep run.
Okay.
But they're a little ahead of schedule because all the good teams on the East have been eliminated, kicked out. Metropolitan, all gone. All you have to go through now is the Florida Panthers, which they've been a part of some grueling series. Hurricanes have not really been a part of any grueling series. They've taken care of business quickly. And then you're also looking across the land over there. There's a game 7 happening tonight. Dallas Stars versus Kraken. They've been beating the crap out of each other this series. And the Vegas Knights is going to take on one of those guys. And they've been in dogfights this whole NHL postseason as well. So, I mean, you're the Carolina Hurricanes. You're sitting at this, and you got to be thinking, this is our year. This is what we can do. The last 2 seasons, we've gotten knocked out in the first round. We might be a little ahead of schedule, but some of these other teams that are in the hunt with us, we're just as good as, so we can take them. The Hurricanes have finally fixed the problem that they had this regular season, and they had last postseason, which they couldn't win on the road. They're winning on the road. I think the Hurricanes are they hit every button right before postseason, because they were one of those teams that was in a dogfight, not to make the postseason, but like leading up to the playoffs, like they were still fighting to stay outside the wild card, but still have a good seed because it was a dogfight. Because Boston Bruins, they were so far ahead of everyone that you were never going to take that number 1 seed away. So. And then they got bounced first round. So you're looking at this like, I don't even have to worry about the Bruins. I didn't even have to worry about them. So I got Hurricanes. This is them to lose. If you really want some other value as well, just go to the Vegas Knights. It's either going to be Hurricanes or Vegas Knights that win this Stanley Cup. I don't think the Kraken can do it. The Dallas Stars haven't proven that they can handle a team. They've gone to game 7 twice now. You're gonna go play the Knights, whichever team it is. Both these teams have gone to game 7 twice. So I just think they're gonna have a little less in the tank, and Vegas knows how to handle their business. So I think they're gonna handle it on the west side. And I got Hurricanes, Vegas Knights in the finals.
Nice. I love the predictions, and I love some of these gems you're throwing out there. So hey, if you're listening, watching us on YouTube, might want to throw some money down. I think for me, I have nothing except for I want to. It's not really worth. I mean, it's worth a segment, but just a quick shout out to Jalen Hurts and Coach Bowles for getting their degrees, finishing their degrees at their respective universities. So shout out to them. It's very big to see people of color getting their education. There's not too many of us that have bachelor's and master's degrees out there. So shout out to them. We need to see more of that. Other than that, I don't really have any gems. I stopped my betting. My account has been low for a while now. Although I did win some money on the Heat beating the Knicks. Got some plus money there. So maybe I'll throw some whatever I won on that. I might throw in the Lakers. I think the Lakers are plus 130. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Big 1-0, episode 10 of the MTL Sports Podcast. Remember, please follow us on social media, Twitter and TikTok at MTL Sports Podcast, and please subscribe, like, and comment under our videos on YouTube, MTL Sports Podcast. Big episode 10 is over. We will see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Have a wonderful time.